Hello, Duke Nukem!
Persona 3 is a crazy game. Of course, in this review, while I will be trying to avoid spoilers, to really get some of the oomph for the story, I felt that it was necessary to be referencing stuff that, while obvious to others who have played the game, to those who haven't, I think that the vagueness of it will be enough to the point that you won't know the whole story. That being said, let's begin. Of my endless advertising to my friends, Persona is a franchise I frequently speak of, often giving them 3 options based mainly on the context of each game. Persona 3 being the one that most people pick as the story seems the most interesting. That being its handling of life and death, and how said concept of life and death instantly gravitates your attention already. Then you open up the game, which, of course, starting off with a gun to your head really just sets the mood. You instantly know the game is going to be a ride to figure out what your perspective on life and death really is. But there's more than that in Persona 3. It isn't just an existential, depressing mess. It's also an amazing escape. Summer before high school was one of intensity. I, a stressed student, couldn't get the concepts of school out of my head, not to mention that one disease happened. I loaded up the game, having played it previously before the last school year had ended, originally in interest of the franchise as Joker had been put into Smash Ultimate. This time, around 3 to 5 weeks before the next school year would start, I made a goal: to finish it before school starts up again. Thus, I began my quest. Getting through the early game was quite easy, things like Stupe Iori and all the social links helping me through the cause. I would sit in my room playing for hours just to get that much closer to the end of the game. But it isn't as though I hated it, no, I loved every minute. The music, it hit so hard I would fall asleep to it like a brick to my skull. Even the combat, which to many I know isn't great, being turn-based after all. However, I think there's something to be said for failing and redoing a boss constantly after the first half of the game. This isn't Pokemon, I actually have to try. Now, the stakes were getting higher by the day. A 100-hour game isn't going to be finished in a week. Realistically, I mean. Sleep and food and parents nagging you slows that down, I think. It was the last week before school would start, and I was in the last quarter. I had already cried at once at this point, and the arcanas that helped in that were really no slouch, and many of them really ingrained in this concept of life and death that had been there throughout the entire game. Nearing the end became almost melancholic to me. My emotions riled up, but no, not yet. I had to keep going. After all, I'm not going to fail. I'm really close, after all. Right? It was the second to last day of the week left. I had reached the final boss, a boss you can't reach if you don't decide correctly by the end of the game. I was stressed at this point, my team, underleveled and weak. The boss destroyed me. I was crushed like those thousands of hydraulic press videos. My thoughts sped up, like a Nightcore video at 2 times speed. I restarted to my past save, thinking, good, I have a couple days left. The game running on a calendar-based system after all. I grinded until bed, and the next day, it was time. Climbing through the tartar sauce and getting through everything, I reached him. The final boss. This time though, I wasn't scared. I had fully leveled up team. I was ready. Nothing could take me out at this point. Memento Mori really stuck a chord within me throughout this entire game, and the moment exactly really struck a chord within me that is akin to many parts of tragedy. So happy, but so sad. It was an overwhelming feeling to me, but then I beat him. The final boss. A melancholic air filling the room as my apathy would reign supreme as the game was almost over. Going back to school for a final week in the last hour with nothing really remarkable, but it makes you remember the game a whole lot more and think back on all the good times the story has really made itself to be. All in all, I give this game a 4.5 out of 5 bowls.
Agachate y conocelo, agachate from our pillow, the pretty from our pillow, the pretty from our pillow, the pretty from our pillow, Marcelo, agachate y conocelo.